माधव कुंज विहारी राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन भज जानरंजन यशोदानंदन भज जानरंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Prabhacharya Ashtodhara His Divine Graces Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki. All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrutyam Naron Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudiraye Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 1, Text 4. Sri Rushir Uvacha Manavo Asmin Vatitashat Kalpe Swayam Bhuvadaya Adyasta Katito Yatra Devadinam Cha Sambhavaha. Sri Rushir Uvacha Manavo Asmin Nevatitaha Shat कल्पेऽस्वायम्भुवादयः आद्यस्तकथितो यत्र देवादीनां च सम्भवः श्रीऋषिरुवाच मनवो अस्मिन्न्यवतीताश कल्पेऽस्वायम्भुवादयः आद्यस्तकथितो यत्र देवादीनां च सम्भवा हरे कृष्ण। Mataji, Sri Rishiruvacha, the great Saint Sukdev Goswami said, Manavaha, Manus, Asmin, during this period, one day of Brahma, Vyatitaha, already past, Shat, 6, Kalpe, in this duration of Brahma's day, Swayambhu, Swayambhu Manu, Adaya, and others, Adaya, the first one Swayambhu, Te unto Katitaha, I have already described, Yatra, wherein Devadinanam, of all the demigods, Cha, also, Sambhavaha, the appearance. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Sukdev Goswami said, in the present Kalpa, there have already been 6 Manus. I have described to you Swayambhu Manu and the appearance of many demigods. In this Kalpa of Brahma, Swayambhu is the first Manu. Text 5. Akutyam devahutyam cha dvitra tasya vaimanoho dharmanyano padeshartha Bhagavan putrata gataha. Swayambhu Manu had 2 daughters named Akuti and Devahuti. From their wombs, the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared as 2 sons, Yajnamurti and Kapila, respectively. These sons were entrusted with preaching about religion and knowledge. Devabhuti's son was also known as Kapila, and Akuti's son was known as Yajnamurti. Both of them taught about religion and philosophical knowledge. Text 6. Kutaha Bhagavataha Kapilasya Nuvarninatam Akhyasya Bhagavan Yadno Chatkakara Kurutvaha. O best of the Kurus, I have already described in the 3rd canto the activities of Kapila, the son of Devabhuti. Now I shall describe the activities of Yajnamurti, the son of Akuti. Text 7. Viraktaha Kama Bhogeshu Shatarupa Patitah Prabhu Visrujya Rajyam Tapasse Sabharya Vanamavishat. Translation. Swayambhu Manu, the husband of Shatarupa, was by nature not at all attached to the enjoyment of the senses. Thus he gave up his kingdom of sense enjoyment and entered the forest with his wife to practice austerities. Purport as stated, Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshivo vidu. The supreme science was thus received to the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. All the Manus were perfect kings, they were Rajarshis. In other words, although they held a post as the kings of the world, they were as good as great saints. Swayambhu Manu, for example, was the emperor of the world, yet he had no desire for sense gratification. This is the meaning of monarchy. The king of the country or the emperor uh, of the empire must be so trained by nature that he renounces sense gratification. It is not that because one becomes king, he should unnecessarily spend money for sense gratification. As soon as king becomes degraded, spending money for sense gratification, they were lost. Similarly, at present moment, monarchy having been lost, people have created democracy, which is also failing. Now, by the laws of nature, the time is coming when dictatorship will put citizens into more and more difficulty. If the king is dictator individually or the members of government collectively cannot maintain the state or kingdom according to the rules of Manu Samhita, certainly their government will not endure. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं मूर्तिमह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपदान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितं हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तु ते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गे राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरि वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे.
Hare Krishna. We are very fortunate to have His Grace Sanat Kumar Prabhu amidst us. He is one of my most worshipable God brothers, senior God brothers. Prabhu had done his BCom LLB in Law and Commerce. And in 1988, once there was a leadership workshop for a couple of days held in Shri Radha Gopinath Mandir, Chapati. The seminar was led by His Grace Krishna Chandra Prabhu and Srinathji Prabhu. They were conducting a 2-day leadership course. In that course, 2 great souls had arrived there who joined the course, and in the couple of days, both the great souls, these 2 personalities, decided to dedicate their life full time. So after seeing that, I thought we should also arrange leadership courses in Pune. Very wonderful it is, isn't it? And one is His Grace Sanat Kumar Prabhu, another one is His Grace Shyamanand Prabhu. So, if you ask Sanat Kumar Prabhu, what was most inspiring to him in the 2-day leadership? He said servant leadership. That's what touched his heart the most. He said, this is the real meaning of leadership. He was touched. Then he joined full time. And since early days, in 1992 onwards, he has been a temple president, co-temple president there in Chopari Temple. He's a very good organizer. And Param Puja Radhanath Swami Maharaj in those days used to give Chaitanya Charitamrita classes only for 4 or 5 very senior devotees. So he was also one of the recipients of those classes from Maharaj, writing tests and everything in the early days. Subsequently, Maharaj found a very great organizer in Sanat Kumar Prabhu. And since the very early days, he started organizing yatra for 200, 500, 800 people and Pune yatra also. Eventually, now he is organizing yatra for 15,000 devotees. And I had invited one couple from Mumbai, Lalit Prabhu and his wife and 2 children. When they heard the number 15,000, they said, oh, it's going to be a big commotion. Huh? But then when they came for the yatra 9 days, while returning, they told, we can't believe such a big crowd of people can be so calm and so well organized. I told them that Sanat Kumar Prabhu is the person behind. Huh? And he has a very big team. Very nicely, he guides everybody. Also tackles all the challenges of the yatra and everything. Similarly, Prabhuji is also very expert in traveling around to satellite centers and sorting out the problem in management, and very great expert. So me and Gaurang Prabhu from IIT Bombay, when he would come here, Gaurang Prabhu was most inspired by him. He accepted him as his counselor guide when we were coming from IIT. So Gaurang Prabhu's one of the points he would tell me is he is like Sanat Kumar Prabhu is the personification of Apuryamanam, Achala Pratishtam, Samudram Apa Pravishanti Advat. That was 2.72. He is undisturbed even in the midst of big adversities and challenges that come. Later on, Maharaj wanted land for Varnashrama development. So he gave that service to Sanat Kumar Prabhu. In 1999, when the project started, Prabhuji has been, since the inception, when no one else was there, only Ranath Maharaj and Sanat Kumar Prabhu were there in the early days. They both used to go to the empty land and make plans. From that time up to now, you all have seen how the projects developed and grew up. So he has been with Maharaj always through thick and thin and assisting. He's the director of the Govardhan Eco Village since the early days, and he oversees all the activities and guides. And these are all his external achievements. In my observation, his internal attainment is his very powerful chanting of the holy name, alert in chanting, focused and fixed up in chanting, rock steady in his Krishna consciousness, respectful to God brothers, and great affection and faith in the lotus feet of the spiritual master, and firm faith in Srila Prabhupada. So many more things could be added. And he comes to Pune like this once in a while, maybe once a year or twice a year. He comes. He also goes to Saswad because he's very knowledgeable in the field. Actually, if you go to GEV, you'll come to know some of the rice, which is very rare and all, they are producing. They want to preserve the varieties, and they're also training the children from the villages to become proper farmers and go back and then take care of the farming. So they're increasing the number of farmers in the country by training and sending them back. Many things like that, very intelligently he's doing it. So he helps us with Sasford also. Also the cow protection and farming, everything he's helping. So we are very grateful for Sanatkumar Prabhu to have his glance on Pune and visiting and guiding all our devotees. So let us welcome Sanatkumar Prabhu to Radha Vrindavan Chandra. Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Sanatkumar Prabhu ki.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for your kind words. So we'll discuss here that the Vedic leadership is being described here. That Swayambhu Mani, how he renounced everything. Even though he was an emperor, he ruled the entire earth planet. However, when he found a suitable successor, along with his wife, he goes to the forest so that he can dedicate entire activities for the remembrance of the Lord and performance of the devotional service. Now, if you see in contrast with today's leadership that we see, or when a leader is infected with material motivations, Usually everybody is thinking that what I can get from this position. And that's what we have seen, like whatever leadership we see around us, is they try to exploit the position that they got it to their maximum advantage in different ways. Whereas here we find the Rajarshis, that means he was a king but described as a rishis. They were always thinking that what I can give from my position to the subjects that are there in my kingdom. And then eventually I can become detached from everything. The whole purport, the shloka very clearly says that Swayambhu Manu was the emperor of the world, and yet he was detached from sense enjoyment. So, what was his position? He just used it for the purification of the human existence. So, not only he purified himself, but all the subjects who were there, they also were purified. So, the real success in life is not just like you occupy a great position, but that position has to be used for propagation of dharma, the transmission of spiritual knowledge, and then internally one should remain detached from the power, always prepare the successors, and ultimately move towards the complete surrender to Krishna. Now we can see there is a number of examples where the emperors immediately they choose the successor, in the sense as soon as they find able person to lead, they retire. Now that situation is not there, and we also handle so many of our leadership positions. So who is a good leader and when he should start preparing for the succession? If I ask you this question, what answer you will give? When leader starts planning for the succession? Any idea? Yes, that is the most correct answer, because from day one when he starts preparing for successor, he remains detached, and what happens is he goes to the next level, and then his successor takes over his position. So there has to be continuous growth, and especially growth should be internal growth, has to be monitored. It's not like you just remain in the position of leadership and then you have many followers. The good leader is measured how many leaders you have created in your life, and that is the success. And that's how we see Srila Prabhupada. He created so many leaders within ISKCON that they could preach into all over the world in different continents and bring Krishna consciousness to all the major towns and all the major cities in the world. So this is uh, one thing what we have to understand, that can person be remain powerful without becoming attached to the power, and that's what is the exactly is a Vedic leadership is. The Bhagavatam teaches this thing, that you can be very powerful but remain completely detached from the power. And that is what the verse describes. Rajarshi means the king is also Rishi. And here we see that Sukadeva Goswami explains like this: Swayambhu Manu was the first Manu of the present day of Brahma. And he was not just a political leader, but he was responsible for establishing dharma within the kingdom. And this is how like the verse describes, like na virakta kama bhogeshu. So he was detached from the sense enjoyment. So this is a very surprising in today's context, that if somebody is like na emperor, that means he is extremely powerful, and then he is responsible for the entire world. And naturally, emperor has got ample resources at his disposal. And naturally, most of the kings are like married, they are in grahastha life, they're living a family life, and all these things yet to remain detached. So, this is what we have to understand, that if somebody is Rajarshi, is following Dharma, he will always remain detached from the material sense enjoyment. So, the purpose of leadership is like the Vedic leadership establish Dharma, proper Jnana, and that's how they were always instructing people about Dharma, about the spiritual knowledge. And that's how we have read, like the Lord appear as a Yajnamurti, Lord appear as Kapila. And purpose of all those things is so that they can instruct people in general about the religion, about the spiritual knowledge. And this is the most important thing, because civilization needs spiritual knowledge. Because what happens is the women society without spiritual knowledge will be always a chaotic situation. Now you see today's world, all the governments all over the world are trying to make economic development. All the countries will be trying to develop a lot of technology. All the best brains in the world are simply engaged in developing better and better technology. At the same time, like lots of different kinds of entertainments are invented. Then they will be like discussing about different political systems. Then they will be creating a great infrastructure for their own countries. And basically, all these things are meant for sense enjoyment. But what spiritual culture teaches us is, who am I? What is the purpose of this life? What is the Dharma? What relationship I have got with the Supreme Lord? And what is the responsibility of the leader? And what will happen to me after death? So, what we have seen is Swayambhu Manu, he not only uh, created the citizens were prosperous, but they were very responsible people who live as per the injunctions of the scriptures, and eventually they became God conscious. So, this is how we have seen that whenever we follow the laws of Mother Nature, then naturally Mother becomes very happy and will provide all kinds of opulences that is required, rather than trying to become happy through all these different ways. And we have seen that Purport Srila Prabhupada mentions about how the Supreme Lord Himself instructs this imperishable knowledge of science to Vivaswan. Vivaswan instructs it to Manu. Manu instructs it to Ishvaku. So evam parampara praptam imam rajashuyu. So this supreme science, we receive it through disciplic successions. And the saintly kings understood that in that way. So that their model of leadership was like, the power was there in the hands of the king, but there was a great spiritual purity was also there, spiritual knowledge was there, and they were very much responsible. And this is what we see that was happening. That when the spirituality leaves the leadership becomes the exploitation. And that's what exactly we see, that we don't find the country's head are spiritually inclined. And that's why we find all over the place there is a great exploitation. And if you analyze like the whole political situation in last few years, we see there are so many people who came up, they practically plundered the entire nation for their sense gratification. Like they had such a ample facilities for themselves, for their children's. So here we see that the ideal teacher cultivates the detachment. And this is what we have seen, that when we see that material leaders and the rajarshis. So material leader will always be thinking that this is my position and I must hold on to my position. Nowadays, all the head of the states are so much worried that anytime their post can be taken away. So their entire focus is just to hold on to the position rather than doing something good or welfare of the people of the world. Whereas Rajarshi will use this position for the Krishna's service. So I have this position from which I can render service unto Lord Krishna. Material leader will be always wanting for the power, more and more power. They will see to it that there is absolutely no opposition party exists. Whoever starts opposing, they will see to it that they are systematically eliminated. Whereas the Rajarshis will accept the responsibility of the position that is given. All the material leaders we will see that somehow or other they want all the recognitions. Even if they have not done anything, they will claim all the credit, all the hard work done by their subordinates as themselves. So, want of recognition, that we should be recognized as the leaders of the nations. Whereas the Rajarshis, they simply wanted what is the welfare of the people. And as like material world, the positions are always changing. So he will be always trying to protect the position. Whereas the Rajarshis, as we see, that they will develop the successors for their positions. The materialist person will always enjoy the facilities that are attached to the emperor's position, whereas the Rajarshi will use all the facilities for the service of Krishna. And then the materialistic leaders, they are afraid to leave their position. Why? Because many countries we find the moment the leader goes, another leader comes, he will put previous leader in the jail. And that's like if you see the history of the some prime ministers in some of the countries, you will always find the ex-prime minister is in always in jail. So this is what happens, like they are very afraid to leave because they know the moment they leave their position, the power goes off, they will end up in the miserable condition. All their wealth will be taken away by the next king. Whereas we find that Manu always he was preparing to leave because he knew the goal of life is to constantly think about the Supreme Lord and serve Him. So this is what happens is like the material leader, whatever is the identity, is position. The moment his position is gone, nobody gives him a respect. Like I remember I was talking to one of a very senior IS officer, and he was like a very powerful officer, and he was sitting with all his other officers, and he was instructing us like, you get all your work done before I retire. The day I retire, next day, none of these people officers will entertain you. He spoke openly in front of all the officers because he knew the position that all the uh, officers, all the other staff is giving him respect because he has a position. And next, after retirement, if he comes to the office, the simple peon also may not give him any respect, and he just can't do anything about it. And similarly, like there are people who manage large multinational corporations. They have such a powerful positions, and they have so many facilities that are attached. Like they have their own chartered planes, own helicopters, and wherever they go, they're practically treated as a kings. That much facilities that they have, and the day they retire, and if they go to the same office to the canteen, and if they ask for a simple tea and coffee, they may not be given. And so many people, they find it very difficult to accept this change, and usually they will find that they become very miserable, they go into depression, and they just can't cope up with the change of status that happens in their life, because all that life they were identifying themselves with the position, and naturally they became attached to the respect as well as the facilities that they were getting it from their position. But if you see Rajarshis, their identity is they are the servants. They never thought that they are enjoyer, all this opulence is meant for their enjoyment. So all these people, as they develop attachment, and they will be always thinking, what will I get? Whereas the Rajarshis, they will be always thinking, now what I can contribute to the society. So what we have to understand is like always the conditioned soul faces this problem that how I can remain detached from sense gratification. How because he reads some scriptures, and then he sees what are the things that are happening around the world, and he gets like the basic understanding, yes, the sense gratification is not good, but still his mind constantly gets attached to sense gratification. So he makes some attempts, then again he becomes fails, then again he makes some attempts, again becomes fails. So the real detachment can be cultivated by the conditioned soul by becoming attached first thing to the sadhu sangha, satsangas, association of the pure devotees of the Lord. And then once you get attached to this sadhu sangha, naturally you will become detached from the objects of this world. So people don't understand these things, that our attachment to the Krishna should grow. And that's why we find who are the greatest renunciates. This is the example given is that of gopis. And gopis, like they could renounce everything for the pleasure of Krishna. Like when Uddhava, like what was the position of Uddhava? Uddhava was always constantly with Lord Krishna in Dwarka Leela. Even like the wives of Lord Krishna would become amazed that how uh, Krishna is so attached to Uddhava, and Uddhava is so uh, lovingly taking care of Lord Krishna. Constantly they are with each other. But same Uddhava, when he comes to Vrindavan and sees the love of gopis, he feels as if he doesn't have any love for Lord Krishna. And greatest uh, qualification of the gopis is everything simply for the pleasure of Krishna. And that's how we have seen Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He took sannyas at a very young age. most of the time, like people take sannyas after like fulfilling all their duties, or some people take for sannyas because they're totally frustrated with the uh, material desires. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas at the age of very 24 age, very young age, when he had loving, obedient wife, loving mother, so many loving devotees. But he knew like if the people of this world will accept his message seriously if he takes to sannyas, and that's how like he takes the sannyas. And we have seen like in Ramayana also, Lord Ram was decided that he will be coronated, so he will be the king of Ayodhya, and naturally Mother Sita will become queen, because that's when Mother Sita marries Lord Ram, it is understood that she would be the she would be the queen in the future, because she is marrying the oldest son of Maharaj Dashrath, so he will become next king. And when Lord Ram loses everything, Mother Sita shows loyalty. So, loyalty means we have to see that Lord Ram lost everything, still Mother Sita served Lord Ram. So, Lord Ram was losing the kingdom. Mother Sita was also thinking, I am also losing everything, but I am always with you. So, this is like loyal friend, loyal servant is there, where he is just after the uh, service and nothing else apart from the service. So we see like the service attitude will always remain, whether you are serving Lord Krishna or you are serving the Maya, who is the energy of Lord Krishna. So we are the puppets, either we are the puppets of Maya or we will remain the puppets of Lord Krishna. It's like people think like they are free. There are so many people always propagating. Just whatever you think, you do it. You don't have to follow any rules, regulations. Whichever path of spirituality you will feel better, you take it up. And so much emphasis is given on your own evaluation, your own intelligence, and you experience your thing and then you decide and you can become architect of your own life. That's how one philosophy is being propagated in modern days. But are they actually totally free? Like when they want to do something, when they get tempted to enjoy certain things, actually they are just the puppets in the hands of Maya. The material, three modes of material nature will be working in, and they will be like mode of passion and ignorance will keep pulling that person. So they are simply puppets in the hands of Maya. Whereas we see like Srila Prabhupada, when uh, he was praying on the Jaladuta, what was his prayers? So Prabhupada went to United States on the order of his spiritual master Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur instructed him, you go to the Western world and preach the message of Lord Chaitanya. And it was very difficult thing to do at a very advanced old age. And there was not much assistance to Srila Prabhupada. He went to the strange land of America. So when the Jaladuta ship was just approaching the Boston harbor, and as soon as Srila Prabhupada sees a big skyliners, the first thing that comes to his mind was, oh Krishna, what is this? And where you have brought me here, and what I am going to do in this place. Because Srila Prabhupada was thinking of Vrindavan. When he saw the material opulence of America, he was not attracted. But now you see there are so many Indians who go to the America. It's like many Indians have like a dream that they will go to America. If you just go to American embassy and you will see there are so many people apply for the visa. Those who are become successful, they get the visa, they become so joyful and they start dancing there itself. And there are some people who where visa gets rejected, they feel as if like the whole world is lost. And then that's how like some people who get successful in getting visa and they go to America, and when they see the opulence of America, they become so enlivened because they are going to there. The purpose of going there is to enjoy, and that's how uh, they feel happiness. But when Srila Prabhupada went to America, he was thinking, what is this material enjoyment? Actually, they will become happy only when they become Krishna conscious. It's like uh, in our temple, one of Srila Prabhupada's prominent disciple, Balimardhan Prabhu, stayed with us for a few months in Govardhanika village. And then he was describing about Srila Prabhupada. He said, Srila Prabhupada just called me in middle of the night to his room. So he went to his room and Srila Prabhupada, he looked at Srila Prabhupada and he saw that Srila Prabhupada, the tears were coming from his eyes. And Prabhupada just explained that there are so many people, it happened in Australia, there are so many people in this country and they are suffering so much because of lack of Krishna consciousness. And I want to give them Krishna consciousness so that they will become happy. So that was his sole purpose, that he wanted to go to US so that people go to the Western countries so that people will get Krishna consciousness and then they will become happy. And they will be really happy by becoming Krishna consciousness. So here we see that the greatest point that has been mentioning here about the person, a big emperor Swayambhu Manu, the real test of a leader is, can he live the position that he has been given? It's not that I'm emperor and I must remain in the position of emperor, but he recognized, like all the previous kings, all the God conscious kings, they, as soon as they saw a rightful heir, immediately they left. We have seen in Maharaj Parikshit case, Yudhishthir Maharaj also, as soon as he saw Parikshit Maharaj is capable of leading the kingdom, immediately he retired from the active administration and he left for Himalayas, where he can fully concentrate his mind on Lord Krishna. So here we see, like, so there is a kingdom, they rule the kingdom with a great responsibility, immediately prepare for the successor of that, and then take the retirement so that they can have a full focus spiritual life. And this is the major principle of we can see the healthy spiritual leadership, that we always have the focus, the vision of our life is very clear, that we are here as a servant and we have to keep on rendering service. In the end, our life will become successful only when we have a full Krishna conscious life. And this is how we see, like, all the Swayambhu Manu is there, King Janaka is there, Amrish Maharaj is there, Prithu Maharaj, all these great kings, the King Rishabdev, all of them, they had this thing in the mind, that this material kingdom is of not much use. The spiritual kingdom is the greatest treasure. So what we have to understand is like now how one becomes detached from the sense enjoyment. So for that we have to understand, like Srimad Bhagavatam very clearly mentions Bhakti Parishana Virakti. And that means that as the devotional service will come into the heart, then naturally the detachment of this world will take place in the heart. So we have to give a full focus on development of devotional service in our present day. Whatever responsibility that we are doing it, if you do it in a great devotional way, then automatically our mind will get attracted to the lotus feet of Krishna. So then we have seen, like in the Bhagavatam, in the fourth canto, we have a example of Dhruva Maharaj. So initially he had material desires, he wanted kingdom, but under the expert guidance of Narad Muni, he told him, go to the Vrindavan and do devotional service unto the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. And he does that. And as the devotion arose in the world, and when Lord wanted to give him the kingdom, immediately the detachment came in his mind. He didn't want anything to do with the material world. So this is how we see. And then Amrish Maharaj example that we can see, where he he was there and he wanted to like when the Durvasmani comes, he just remained fixed in performance of devotional service on the pretext of certain lapse in the etiquette. He becomes angry, and Amrish Maharaj simply just remains in his devotional position. So he was also emperor, but he was constantly thinking of Lord Krishna, engaged all his senses in the service of Lord Krishna. And that's how we see the things that he was protected by Krishna. So Dhruva Maharaj earlier he was just a 5 years of old boy. Initially wanted kingdom, and Amrish Maharaj already had a kingdom. And Dhruva Maharaj was approaching Krishna with the material desire, whereas Amrish Maharaj he was always approaching Krishna with all the pure devotional motive. Dhruva Maharaj performs austerity, whereas Amrish Maharaj he constantly keeps on doing different activities of devotional service. And when Dhruva Maharaj sees Lord Vishnu, and Amrish Maharaj was always constantly remembering Lord Krishna in his heart. So he was doing all the duties of his kingdom. At the same time, his mind was fully occupied about the service of devotional service. So we, and then Dhruva Maharaj said, like, no, I don't want this kingdom. And Amrish Maharaj was thinking this kingdom belongs to Lord Krishna. It doesn't belong to me. So Dhruva Maharaj case, like as soon as he got the higher test, he rejected the lower test. And then in Amrish Maharaj case, like no, he was always experiencing the higher test. So the lower test was such insignificant that never his mind got attracted to the lower stage. So both the emperors we see, they rule the world without any attachment, and then fully focused on rendering service, and eventually they could fully concentrate on Krishna consciousness. So we see this is a great message that we get from this story of Swayambhu Manu, that how we should always keep focus on Krishna consciousness, and that will naturally give the detachment from the sense enjoyment that we always face in this material world. Hare Krishna. So, are there any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Very nice class given by you. One question is that ki, what is the best in Vairagya and Yukta Vairagya? As you have stated, so many kings have left their kingdoms and gone to the forest for their personal development in Krishna consciousness. Whereas in some lectures we have heard that ki, if someone goes in the forest, he may be bewildered, like this Vishwamitra and all others. So what you can suggest in the bhakti to develop fast and fully engaged in the Krishna conscious one has to do, it is Vairagya or Yukta Vairagya?
See, what we have been requested by all our previous acharyas, principle of Yukta Vairagya means whatever we have, we offer in the service of Krishna. And that is what we see all our acharyas they did. Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, they had immense wealth, but they left everything, came to Vrindavan, and under the guidance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, under the instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, started developing Vrindavan. And then they also built huge temples. In the sense, Sanatan Goswami had Madan Mohan temple, Rupa Goswami had Govinda Dev temple. So whenever any disciple who had money, they came, they used that money directly in Krishna's service. Whereas what about themselves? They always stayed under a tree, wearing glowing cloths, always begging Madhukari, doing all these parikramas. So they got great opulences, but they used everything for the service of Krishna. But then what happens is, like for sadhaka like us, we get facilities we use in Krishna's service, but later on subtle um, desires that creep in our mind, these are like weeds that choke eventually the bhakti. We remain attached to our facilities. So what we have to understand is always remain cautious, and whatever we get it, we use it in Krishna's service without we enjoying any of the material facilities. And that's what is the Yukta Vairagya means. Okay. How we can decide this is Yukta or not? Yes. A simple way to decide is like, suppose you are given certain responsibility. You're doing it nicely, and then you are told now you give up this and do it, take another responsibility. Are you willing to give it immediately, or you hold on to that? That is the test. If you can hold, if you remain, if you're attached, you will hold on and you will give 100 reasons not to give up that. And then how without you that service will not be carried forward. But as we were obedient when we were given one instruction, similarly next time also whatever instruction is given, we should follow it. So main thing is, are we willing to give up when we are told to leave? That will see whether we are attached or whether we are detached. Okay. Hare.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. One of the very beautiful points you emphasized in your class is about Swayambhavanu's renunciation and fixity on the Supreme Lord, and Ambarish Maharaj also was fixed on Supreme Lord, Yudhishthira Maharaj. Very beautiful examples. I had a question, Prabhu. When His Holiness Gopaksha Maharaj left the world, he was in Dehradun. It's a part of the bureau meeting. He was attending that. And I see that His Holiness Gopaksha Maharaj, His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj, they are all still part of GBC. and actively participating not only in the GBC meetings, but bureau meetings, even DC meetings also. They come and they give their inputs, we find. And we find Srila Prabhupada once in Srida Mayapur was approached by Tamal Krishna Maharaj. Tamal Krishna Maharaj told Prabhupada that, Prabhupada, some of your disciples are asking, should they come and retire in Srida Mayapur? And Prabhupada said, say, after they have vigorously preached and expanded everything all over the world, when they get very old and invalid, then they can come to Dham and just chant the holy name. And then Prabhupada said, as far as I am concerned, I don't think I am old enough. He said. After hearing that, when Tamaksha Maharaj told the people, everybody went back to their respective places. So there are two routes a Vaishnava can take. One is work hard, work hard, work hard till the last breath, you know. And then that is one spirit, like even na karmanam anaramban, naishkaryam. Now in the Bhagavatam also this is a very big talk. You know, to work or to renounce. So when we hear lectures like yours, which you gave today, it immediately many people develop a spirit of renunciation, and they feel that we should just become Krishna conscious and peacefully go back to Godhead. You know, we should not just get entangled in the material world. People fear like that. On the other hand, if you see great leaders in ISKCON and Srila Prabhupada, they are all very actively engaged. Recently, I saw Narendra Modi, 25 to 30 initiatives, he's taken up all over the country. And what progress, he has made 150% or 180% progress in certain of those areas. So I sometimes feel that as we grow older, the younger ones should have that type of spirit, dashing spirit to do something very wonderful, proper. If they do it, but what happens is when we go up and up, slowly retiring, number of years are increasing. Younger ones also want to renounce, and the below one also want to renounce. Everybody is in a renouncing mode. Just chant, read, hear, develop your inner spirit, and go back to Godhead. Then the movement cannot expand. So, and then people at the top like Gopakshana Maharaj, they come to this level and they work very hard and they tell the people, hey, you don't be like an old man, do something. Correct? No? So, like idea, blueprint, execution. If executors sit idle and they don't give ideas also, they are actually taking the role of these people, but they're lazy. Correct? No? So how would you counter this? Because ours is a preaching organization. Say, I am given Pune now. I don't think I have done enough in Pune. That Pune is there are 60, 80 lakh people. We have not even started scratching the surface of Pune. So, but there are people, next level people, managers, leaders. Yeah, similarly, we give department to so many devotees here. How much everybody is doing in the department? There are some departments like Jivada is putting their life and soul. They are putting their sweat and toil. Day and night they are working, but not uh, all departments are able to do that. So I wanted to hear from you this side of the topic also.
Like this, sometimes there's a tendency like, no, instead of serving here in the temple, taking responsibility, let me go stay in Vrindavan. I have one example of that. Like, no, many days back, there was one young devotee who was staying with us for quite some time. And then he developed desire that, no, let me go to Vrindavan. There's too much service over here. So he went to Vrindavan. And then within 1 week, he came back. So I asked him what happened. So he told like he went to somewhere in Barsana area nearby and went for Madhukari. First day nobody gave him Madhukari. Second day he went, nobody gave him Madhukari. Third day he went, nobody gave him Madhukari. And then immediately packed off and left from that. But actually this is unusual. If you go to Vrindavan and do Madhukari, usually people give. It's like wherever there are like traditional places, glimpses of spiritual life is there. The people are like anybody comes for asking anything, naturally they give something. And this was very unusual that for 3 days of trying, that means he understood that Krishna doesn't want me to be here. And because it's like many of our brahmacharis go for yatra and they do madhukri. and they get at least something in return. So this is what happens is now we see, like you gave example of Srila Prabhupada serving till the last breath. And there's a famous picture where with a dictaphone is uh, giving the translations of Srimad Bhagavatam at the last moment also is doing, because he, like if you see Prahlad Maharaj example, what is the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj? Is that till the last person in this world becomes Krishna consciousness, I don't want to leave. And that is the mood of all our acharyas. They serve in that mood, that I don't care about my liberation, but I'm concerned with all other people who are suffering because of lack of Krishna consciousness. So that's the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj is similar. That's the mood of our acharyas, that they would like to do service to the last breath, so that somehow or other, even the last person in this material world will get Krishna consciousness. And when people follow this mood, as you have seen, uh, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, His Holiness His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, they are carrying that mood, that let me serve my spiritual master in such a way that I pushed on till the last breath. Whatever little energy that they have, they will utilize it in Krishna consciousness and not for relaxation. Now, you have another question. Part of your question was how we get an inspiration to serve like this. Then, one way that I do is I always read Sitamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, the book of Servant of Servants, or many of Srila Prabhupada disciples who have written books about Srila Prabhupada. And initial days, how all of them they struggled, and how dedicatedly they served Srila Prabhupada. That gives a lot of inspiration for us to continue. So reading Srila Prabhupada disciples about their memories of Srila Prabhupada, and how Prabhupada inspired them to take the responsibility, and we can see how they took up a responsibility, uh, once in one country, um, the devotees were just staying under a bridge, and so there was nobody could contact them. They were, what is the address? There is no address, no. If somebody is staying under a bridge, and even if he wants BTGs to be sent, even if he wants books to be sent or any message to be sent, now where people will send it? And then later on, they got an house where where the municipality of that area has said not fit for human stay. But somehow or other they got into that house, possession of that house, and then they wrote a letter to devotees, Prabhupada, that I am in such a such place. And then they got the shipment of books and BTGs, and from there they started distributing it. So that the mood of Prahlad Maharaj has come to Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada is giving that mood to all his disciples. And if we follow that mood, then we will remain protected. Because what happens is, if I see that I will stay in Vrindavan and then I will keep on doing my sadhana and I will just release those things, it's uh, this sadhana is not for our relishment. We do sadhana for the pleasure of our spiritual master. We do chanting for the pleasure of our spiritual master. The moment you feel that I can enjoy, and that's where the greatest mistake is there. And we see none of our acharyas had made that mistake. They till the last moment they kept on serving Lord Krishna. And these are great examples that are there, not just in in scriptures, but in our own lives we can see the great examples of this, who are carrying on the mood of Prahlad Maharaj. And that gives us the inspiration, and we should carry on this mood. Right.
Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji, for very wonderful narration and the comparison what you made in the beginning between materialist leaders and Rajrishi. That was very amazing. And at the end, you made comparison between Dhruv Maharaj and Amrish Maharaj. That was also very amazing. Uh, my question is, Prabhuji, regarding loyalty. You told a story from Ramayana how Sita Devi was following Lord Ram. In our scenario, as a Prabhupada follower, and how we should apply this quality of loyalty, and how we should not go into fanaticism. Like it may happen that being loyal means we may become fanatic. So, how to understand this? Hare Krishna.
What is the definition of fanaticism? Fanaticism means it's not as per the scripture. In the sense, you're not following. The fanatic person is just concocting his own things. He is not following any mood of the scriptures. He's not following. Because what happens is, scriptures, you will find it's given in a very balanced way. It's accommodating all the views. And that's how the greatest compassion is shown. A fanatic is person, he just picks up few things and remains attached to that instead of seeing the whole big picture. So that is the main thing we have to see. That if you read Srila Prabhupada books, carefully study it thoroughly, you'll find that Prabhupada has balanced everything in a proper way. So what happens is, when person becomes fanatic, he just chooses whatever he likes it, and he keeps quoting it out of context. So we should always see that how the same Prabhupada who has given written different things at different places, but his mature senior disciples will tell us what was Prabhupada's mood and how he applied those things in a practical life. So in a sense, like we read Srila Prabhupada's book, and Prabhupada was very heavy about Mayavad philosophy. That's true. But at the same time, like when he encountered with Dr. Mishra, who was who helped him in the initial days, when he became sick, Srila Prabhupada personally cooked for him, took care of him, and then he writes, it's because of Prabhupada's care that I could come out of my sickness. So this is the way we have to see the whole picture before we conclude anything. And best way is to always ask the mature senior people who will give us the correct understanding.
Hare Krishna, yeah. We can ask one more question.
Yes.
Prabhu, when we were passing out of the college in those days, the IT jobs are picking up, giving almost 10 times the salary and all. Now, IT jobs are pulling out now because of the artificial intelligence and layoffs in Pune. I heard 30,000 people were laid off from Oracle or somewhere. So, because of large layoffs, many of our youths are in tension of not getting placed in a good job. In that connection, I wanted to check with you, is Varnashrama what Prabhupada wanted to see expand? So, these youths who are not getting nicely placed in jobs, do they have some scope in going to villages and being a part of Varnashrama and then earning their livelihood and living close to nature? What is your thought on that?
Yes, the thing is like, as you rightly mentioned, that usually that happens is like in GEV, one India's supercomputer, that Vijay Bhatkar, he had come here in GEV at the Corona time, and he was explaining us that how software engineer is working to replace himself. He will develop some program by which afterwards his employment will also go. So then what happens is, in the material world, this kinds of ups and downs will remain. I remember like Srila Prabhupada had a son, and when Prabhupada was very old, very sick at the end, he came to him, and he was asking like, no, because that time ISKCON was like, no, big society and lot of money was there, a lot of property was there. So he was asking Srila Prabhupada that, no, give me something. Then Prabhupada so intelligently dealt with him, is like, no, he told him, why don't you become agent for distributing Chaitanya Charitamrita? You sell the books and then you keep a certain amount for you. So he would again and again would go and ask for like, give some property, give some Lakshmi. And Prabhupada would say that take the books, sell the books, and you see so many of my disciples, they are surviving on book distribution. So you learn also and you will do the devotional service as well. So if the jobs are that available, we can take those jobs and use Lakshmi for Krishna's service. If not, we will have to tax the intelligence in such a way that how people can do Krishna conscious things also at the same time. By spreading Krishna consciousness, they will be able to maintain themselves as well. Now, as far as Varnashrama as the uh, land is concerned, that's a Mother Earth will always maintain its children's, but it will give you what is necessary for your needs and comforts. The first is needs, then it's comforts, then it becomes luxury, then prestige and greed. So motherland will give needs and comforts, but what people want, luxurious life, that is a little difficult, because if you want to live off the land but at the same time maintain the luxurious lifestyle, then you go for exploitation of mother nature. So that may not work. What is beneficial is like uh, that same Vijay Bhatkar, he was like, was like, developed the supercomputer for India first time. He was mentioning that in future, agri entrepreneurship will give a lot of employment to the youths in India. It's coming from a person like, who is from technology background. And he was mentioning that this field, you will never have the scarcity. Now you see Corona, at the time of Corona, which sector was open? The agriculture sector was open. All other sectors were closed. All tourism, everything, transportation, everything was closed. But the farmers were peaceful because they had enough grains in the uh, house. And if lockdown continues for a year, that stock goes, but next season they will sow and that stock will come. So when a lockdown stays for 5 years also continuously, they will keep on eating and remain peaceful. So like there are some people who are trying to now make agriculture, and now if you see talk about agriculture, what do you think first is go in the mud and your hands and or your clothes will be become dirty with the mud. So yesterday only I went to one place that institution works for the rural development of India. They say like they also said one of the biggest challenges is how to engage youth. So many youths in India are unemployed, and how they can be engaged in especially agriculture side. So they are trying to develop so many systems. Now AI has come, so AI has come in agriculture also. So how can use AI do agriculture? So the youth, which youth would like to go and work in mud? So they will wear nice clothes, shoes, and all their this thing. And with the help of AI, they can do agriculture without getting their hands and legs dirty with that. Because as the mindset of the people change, you also need to change and become relevant to that. So we have to use our intelligence in such a way that how which sector will never get like uh, ups and downs like this. The food industry will never get up and down because at least 3 times you need to eat, and world population is increasing, so that uh, demand for that thing will never go down. So there are various ways, and if you can connect it with Krishna, there is I've seen in so many temples like uh, so many grihasthas are employed. They get also very decent salary and they do so much good service that helps to the temple also. They preach and get like so many resources. So to paying even very good professional salary is also not difficult for us. So there are various ways. If there is a will, you will find a way. Hare Krishna.
Chopati has taken up 5,000 Bhagavatam sets for the Bhadra Purnima. What technique they are adapting for distributing Bhagavatam, Prabhu?
I think you will have to ask Baldev Prabhu that question.
Madhav, is it?
Yeah.
It's a very big number, it is.
Yes, they must have made some plan. I don't
Yes,
know.
right. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Okay.
So, any other last question, anybody? Yes, very kind of Sanat Maru, please keep visiting us like this, inspiring us. He's a very realized and experienced personality, stably practicing for, since 1988. So it's our blessing to have somebody like this with us. Let us thank Prabhu. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Sri Sanat Kumar Prabhu ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.
Sure.
Hare Krishna. WIDC out